Hey, alright, welcome to episode 3 of Books and Brews, the review. Today's Books and Brews reviews are going to be about Paul Tremblay's Survivor Song and my delicious cup of joe right here. It's pretty early in the morning, and I need this as a pick-me-up to wake myself up and be ready to deliver an awesome review for you. Ladies and gentlemen watching, I appreciate you. If this is your first time stumbling across the channel and you like what you see, please subscribe. Let me grab a quick sip. So, as you can tell, we are reviewing Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay. I got the Advanced Reader's Edition here from my work, and I'm like, you know what? I liked Cabin at the End of the Universe, at the End of the World. I don't even remember the name of it. It's one of those. Well enough. I wouldn't put it in my top 10. I wouldn't put it in my top 25 books, but I liked it. I like Paul's style. He's a very talented author. There are aspects of that book that kept me from falling in love with it. But he definitely got put on my to read more of list. And so I jumped on the opportunity to pick up this advanced reader's copy. Was really super excited to dig into it without knowing anything about the book other than, oh, hey, Paul came out with a new book. Sweet. Let's pick it up. Let's check it out. Let's do a review. Unfortunately, I realized that it's about zombies. Now, if you're a zombie fan, this book is a must-read because it's a very good book. Personally, I'm just tired of zombies. I was a big zombie fan for a long time, and much like a lot of things in life, when you have too much of a good thing, it turns sour, right? I feel like it's just at that point for me. I would never pick up a zombie book knowingly, and just because I don't have any interest in reading it. Same thing about vampires. I'm not a big vampire fan. I tried reading Stephen King's Salem's Lot. Everyone swears it's one of the best vampire stories ever, and I hated it. And I love Stephen King. With that being said, there's enough good stuff in this book, and it's different enough against the run-of-the-mill zombies that it feels different. It feels a little bit unique, that I was able to enjoy the book from start to finish. It's not a book, this one either, that hits definitely not my top 10, not my top 25. I liked Cabin in the Universe better than this one. But there were some things at play that I really, really kind of anchored onto that really pushed me through the overall zombie narrative. And that was the relationship between the two main characters. It's basically a doctor struggling with her own issues in life. A very compelling character whose best friend is pregnant during this zombie, not zombie type of apocalypse. It has to do with a new rabies strain, or so they think. And it's not like The Walking Dead, but it's people who get sick that turn extremely violent and attack other humans, which is a lot like the 28 Days Later franchise. So it's her trying to get her pregnant friend help who has been bitten before the baby comes. And that's the story. It's the story of those two people basically traversing this urban landscape in a big city. I can't remember if it was Boston. I don't remember where exactly. During this kind of crazed outbreak. And it's a really fitting story for right now because there is this whole pandemic experience going on in there that rivals what's going on today. There's issues with the hospitals being overrun, and these people thinking the government planted this disease out there for whatever reason they had, and there's definitely some scenes of horrific gore. I found it kind of hard to follow in certain parts. You get to be introduced to some characters almost about halfway through that develop their own narrative, which I like, but then it spins off right away and kind of ends, and you still got a good chunk of story going this way. And I guess the part of the book that really kind of threw me off was this could have wrapped up the whole story, because it tells you things I feel like I shouldn't have known until I got back on the main path. I don't know if that makes sense. I think if you read it would make sense. It's almost like you've watched 75% of a movie and you're trying to figure out the ending you think is going to be who the killer is, and then you find out who the killer is at the 80% mark, but then the story keeps going for another 45 minutes, and you're like, but the really important thing I just kind of figured out, and now I'm just kind of like, okay. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So there were some pacing issues in that respect. So, Joe, stop rambling. You're not making sense. It's hard to discuss sometimes books when the viewer may or may not have read it, because I don't want to give spoilers. But let's drop the review. A+ is a perfect, everyone should read. Doesn't matter what genre you love. It's a masterpiece. This is going into my top 10, probably my top 3, right? To an F. This is garbage. No one should buy it. Throw it in the trash. What was the author thinking? Both of those are very, very extremes. You will not hear me say those very often, if ever. I don't know. I've definitely read some garbage books, but I'm not going to be spending $20 on a book that even has potential to be garbage. So, I'm going to give this book a C+. You might think, Joe, that's a terrible review. Paul's way better than a C+. But a C+ in the way I grade is actually a pretty good review. It means that if you're a fan of horror, or if you're a fan of the author, Paul, then you're going to like this book. I don't think it's anything fantastic that anyone outside of the genre of horror or the fan of the author should pick up on a whim, because I don't know if they'd like it. Or if you like zombies, if you're huge into zombies, you're going to like this book. So it's a little bit above average in that respect. That's what a C+ is. A solid C is average. It was a decent read. I enjoyed it, but I can't really get on top of the mountain and sing its praises. There's so much I like about Paul, but every single one of his novels that I've read, which is only 2 so far, he takes some narrative choices that I don't know if I wouldn't do myself, and takes me out of the story a little bit. Part of the problem is because and please don't get mad at me, but I'm going to talk about how I'm an author, and so I write a lot of books, and I have a different lens when I read, and so I'm constantly, as I read a novel, I'm not just reading the words, I'm also thinking like the author and why he's choosing or she's choosing to do this, to say this. Why are they in this area? What's the purpose of this? And there was a couple spots that I couldn't figure out the purpose of things. And so that throws a speed bump for me. It's not a smooth ride. It throws me, it jars me, and I sit and start thinking about the process of instead of the narrative of. And some books that are so good can pull me out of my lens, and I'm just in this engrossing story that my brain can't stop long enough to think of the creation aspect of it, and I'm just stuck in the story like Stephen King's It. I wasn't sitting there trying to figure out why the author was writing what he was. I was so interested that I was just along for the ride, enjoying it. So, C+. If you like Paul, if you like zombies, if you're into horror, please give this book a shot. I think you would enjoy it. It's and by no means a bad book. It's not written bad. It's just that's my personal opinion of it. If you're thinking about getting into horror and you're not sure, I wouldn't say try Paul first. I'd give you some other names that I think are a little bit better in an overall grand scheme of things. I really did, I read the book in less than 3 days, which is pretty fast for me. There's part of the book's narrative between the two perspectives of the friend and the doctor, and the friend's narrative is written in almost a vocal journal, like a recording that she is talking to her unborn child, which I thought was really nice. It broke up some of the stuffier parts of the narrative, and it was cool to get into her head and listen to the way she spoke and really understood the internal struggle she was going through. So again, there were some really great parts about the book. So C+, Survivor Song. If you've read it, I'd love to hear what you have to think. Please share your opinions. Right now I'm reading Alex North's first book, I believe, The Whisper Man. So that's going to be my next review. I really like Alex North. In fact, that'd be one of the authors I'd say, if you're not sure about horror, try Alex North, either The Whisperman or The Shadows. You know, I can throw a couple Stephen Kings out there too, obviously, but I really, really am digging that author. Paul, you're staying on my to be read list. I will continue to buy your books, read them. I want to thank you for your awesome contribution into the horror genre. He's good friends with one of my favorite horror authors, John Lanyon, that he wrote The Fisherman. If you have not read that, stop what you're doing. Buy it. It's cosmic horror done phenomenal. Top 10 book for me. Top 5 book for me. So, that's it, guys. Hit a little bit past the 10-minute mark. I apologize. I rambled a little bit. Please, if you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button. Constructive criticism is always welcomed, so let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys so much. Happy reading. Happy brewing. Whether you're drinking coffee, beers, diet sodas, if you're staying healthy with that water, you do you. I'm going to do me. Let's keep it peaceful. Much love.